On this week's show, Peacemaker is making the peace over on HBO Max. Is Pixar making a permanent turn to Disney Plus? And who is making their smoking hot confessions? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Lakers Fast Break, Game Source, PopCultureCosmos.com, all the great stuff that we do on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, plus the tremendous amount of things that you can do at Smoking Hot Confessions, shc.com, the podcast, the YouTube channels, the tremendous community, that everything that you can do. You can do a lot, believe me, trust me, and I will explain that here in a sec. At Smoking Hot Confessions, and if you can support all these great things, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without a good friend, and stepping in for Josh Peterson in the hot seat is a good friend of mine indeed. I've known him now for what he would probably say is far too long. He is a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check out his conglomerate, because I'm trying to find new ways to describe the entire experience that is Smoking Hot Confessions. I'll tell you what, if you are hungry, it might not be the best place to go because you will get so much hungrier with all the great recipes, all the great ideas, all the great concepts, the barbecuing ideas, the barbecue suggestions, the podcasts, the videos, the ideas, the guides, the whole shebang right there at Smoking Hot Confessions. Plus everything else that he does. He's a good man indeed. Please check out everything relating to the Smoking Hot Confessions world today. It is Ben Arnaud. And Ben, great to have you back as always, my pop culture and barbecuing good friend.
G'day, mate. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Oh, always great to have you here, my friend. Just like I said, from the first time that we actually got together and sat down and talked, it's just been like magic ever since. Just talking to you every time. Not only have I gained probably 20 pounds in our conversation since then, but still, it's always a great time indeed because you bring so much positivity, so much great things, so much knowledge, insight, not only on the worlds that you deal with regularly, but also on pop culture. I think that's what probably take a lot of people back is like, he is this master of all things grilling, but man, does he know his pop culture?
Yeah, my wife says I have too much spare time.
We got to do something while the food is cooking right there on the grill, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And if you've got a smartphone and a Bluetooth speaker, you can watch the movies and the shows and listen to the podcasts and all the rest of that while you're slow smoking that brisket. It's happy days.
Well, since our last conversation, quite a few things came out since then. Obviously, the massive success of Spider-Man No Way Home. We've had the great success, I think, of the Marvel television series Hawkeye that came to fruition. A lot of things going on now as far as the announcements in DC world. In fact, we heard that the Batfleck is no longer, after Flashpoint, going to be the Batfleck. That's the latest thing I heard on IGN the other day. So we'll see how long that lasts. Although, if you back up the Brinks truck and send out the cash, maybe Ben Affleck will do it again. But he swears it's the last time. So we'll see what happens there. But Peacemaker is coming around for this week. We'll talk about that coming up here in a bit. But there's so much to talk about in pop culture. What have you been checking out in pop culture?
Well, we are actually a few weeks behind the States at the moment. So all our TV and our movie release dates are just a couple of weeks behind. So what have I seen? I've seen the new James Bond. I've seen the Hawkeye series. Peacemaker isn't out for another couple of days. Spider-Man and Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm hoping to get to the drive-in tonight, actually.
Nice.
To go see it tonight.
What a double feature.
Yeah. Well, it's you pay $40 for the car to enter, and then it's $10 if you want to watch an additional movie. So you just pick one field, and you just park on that field for 4 or 5 hours, and then you get to watch the two movies that roll on through that field. So it's been a
Nice.
couple of years since we went out there, but I'm hoping to get out there again tonight. So that should be good. But yeah, you mentioned Hawkeye there before. I was really skeptical about that, and then I started to watch the different trailers and things that were coming through, and I got super excited about it. I really love how they sort of channeled that original Die Hard vibe, that kind of that action comedy with a kind of a deliberate tongue in cheek, almost wink at the camera moments.
Yes.
Um, I really felt that was the first time that I properly engaged with the character of Hawkeye, because he was one of those characters that you know, you could kill him off in the Avengers, and I don't think anyone would have batted an eye. But now that he's had this series, I kind of feel a bit more connected with that character, which I think is really good. And we all sat down and we all watched it as a family, and as excited as I am for the Boba Fett series, the Hawkeye series has attracted the whole family, whereas Boba Fett only seems to be pulling me in at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. I've only had the first 2 episodes out here in Australia so far. I'm not sure what you're up to over there. Um,
That's true. Same here. Boba Fett is in the same, and then Peacemaker also is coming out this next week. Hawkeye,
oh,
Hawkeye. So we're on an even plane when it comes to that. Hawkeye will say it has been the best Marvel series. I think. I think you're right. I think when it comes down to it, you are not alone in your assessment that people didn't care about the character of Hawkeye during the course of the past 10 years of Marvel films, but this series has seemingly reinvigorated the character of Hawkeye, not only for now, not only the current Hawkeye, but the future of Hawkeye with both Hawkeyes, Kate Barton and also Clint Barton. So we're looking forward to seeing both expanded upon in future series or movies or whatever they want to go ahead and do. But I think that the Hawkeye series to me was done so well. It was able to go ahead and tell the stories of both those characters, plus introduce and expand so much more with all these other characters that they either introduced it or expanded upon that really makes for, I think, probably the best Marvel series to date so far.
yeah, I talking about expanding it. I love that that opened the door for the Marvel MCU shows,
Yeah.
by bringing in Kingpin. I was really hoping that they were going to do that, and then I think the first giveaway was the hand, Vincent D'Onofrio's hand, when he was
Yep.
pinching the cheek of young Echo, and I went, oh, that looks like his hand, and then there was I think the next episode there was a chuckle or a laugh or something that they played in a
Yep.
recording. I went, oh, that's it, that's him. And yeah, when he came on screen, I was fist pumping in the air, and the rest of my family was just looking at me like I was nuts. They had no idea what I was talking about because my wife and son go to bed before all the really violent stuff comes on TV. So that they've actually never seen the Daredevil series on Netflix, so they got no idea what was happening. But I would love to see Charlie Cox's Daredevil jump across into the MCU. That would be very cool.
That would be very cool indeed. So I will say that if you've already seen Kingpin on the screen, I don't think Charlie Cox is far behind. So I won't go into any spoilers for you on that. So I think it's probably just a natural that you'll see a Daredevil series at some point in time. I think it's just going to be a natural because it was the most popular series on Netflix for the Marvel series. I think it's just going to be a natural. So I think it's going to be something that you're going to be seeing. I know he's been very coy about it, as far as Charlie Cox is concerned. So I think it's something that I think it's inevitable. I mean, we're already seeing Kingpin. I think it's inevitable. We're going to go ahead and see a larger scale version of what Daredevil is going to offer. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I'd love to see Daredevil come across. I'd love to see John Bernthal's Punisher come across. Um, and I'd like to see Foggy and uh, Karen Page come across. Just because I've loved that actress ever since True Blood. I thought she was fantastic in that. But the rest of them, particularly Iron Fist, we can leave behind. We
Yeah.
we, we don't need to bring what was his name, Finn something.
I
Anyway,
think I think that's universal as far as not
yeah,
bringing him over, but I think there is going to be a migration of a lot of the stars. Luke Cage, you're going to see Jessica Jones. I think eventually you're going to see a lot of those major characters from the Netflix series go on over to the MCU, and either have their own series revived or become part of the MCU in some form of fashion. So I'm looking forward to it. I know you are as well, but I wanted to make sure it's going to be a great time. What we're going to have today, we're going to be talking a lot about a lot of great things, including Peacemaker. Like we said, our hopes for Peacemaker coming up this week on HBO Max. Plus, also as well, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to Ben here about Pixar's Turning Red, which has now been moved to premiere on Disney Plus. It is no longer going to be premiering in theaters. I want to ask him if his thoughts on Pixar now is changing, and if you it thinks that now Pixar is going to be just putting out these movies to Pixar to Disney Plus as opposed to just introducing these on the theaters. I'm trying to see if there's a focus and a shift for Pixar in the near future when it comes to Disney Plus. We'll talk about that coming up here in a few minutes. Plus, also as well, Fallout on Amazon Prime that's been officially announced with showrunner Jonathan Nolan. You know, obviously the Nolan family. You already know what Christopher's done, so Jonathan Nolan is someone who's going to be very invested in the Fallout series. So we'll talk about if that's something that he's interested in as well. Plus, also speaking of Amazon Prime, The Boys dropped a release date and a small little teaser. Does that get him excited? We'll talk about that coming up as well. And I wanted to go ahead and mention we want to honor the great Sidney Poitier, who passed away last week at the age of 94. So I will have Dawn Fobbs coming up, our usual TV host, our TV guest, our TV expert. She's going to be coming up later in the show to talk about her memories, her thoughts on the outstanding Sidney Poitier and what he brought to the industry, what he brought to our culture, and basically just all the great things that he did. So she's coming up on the back end of the show for that. And last but certainly not least, Ben Arnault is going to be keeping you up to date on what's going on with Smoking Hot Confessions and what is popular. Because if you go right now to the Smoking Hot Confessions community on Facebook, you are going to get hungry. If you're full, it doesn't matter. You're going to get hungry because there's so many great things. But what has been the most popular right now at Smoking Hot Confessions? And that's coming up on the back end of the show as well. But first up, my friend, it is Peacemaker on HBO Max. It's coming up this week, I believe on the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. This is something that was an offshoot of the very highly critically praised The Suicide Squad. As James Gunn is personally invested in directing, he's a showrunner, doing the whole things, even with all the other things that he's doing with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the holiday special and all that, he still had time to create this series. It stars John Cena in a role that I think perfectly suits his goofy type character that he's been able to, I guess, get one of his better characters that he's been able to portray on screen. The Suicide Squad. I know we've talked about this last year. It was a great film. For me, it was just off my best of pop culture for 2021. It was the first thing I took off my list because it was close, but not quite, which means it was a very, very good film, which I enjoyed a lot. And I want to go ahead and say that I've got mad props for the film. It didn't do as well commercially as I thought it would do. Unfortunately, it was that for that not the biggest moneymaker. It did pretty good on HBO Max. HBO was very satisfied, and Warner Brothers were very satisfied as far as the direction. So that there's now a series going forward for the Suicide Squad as far as movies are concerned. There's a future for it, anyways, as opposed to the original The Suicide Squad. And we all know what happened there. But I want to hear your thoughts on Peacemaker, your hopes for it, because I think this is one of since his migration almost full time, and I want to say almost full time. It's not full time because he's actually stepped into the ring every now and then from WWE. I think this is probably one of his best turns ever as this goofy, I don't want to say lovable, but let's just say committed individual as far as keeping the peace at all cost.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this, and my son has watched. He's 10 and he has watched the Suicide Squad with us, so yeah, he's familiar with the character as well. So I'm hoping that the show doesn't deviate from the movie too much, but I'm also hoping it doesn't get so graphic that I can't let him watch it, because we do love to sit down and watch those things together. But it looks absolutely hilarious. As you said, it's one of John Cena's strongest characters. I'm always really skeptical when sports stars decide they're going to jump across and become movie stars. If you But if you watch, say, The Rock's trajectory, like that's a man who dedicated himself to that craft and has become such an enjoyable actor to watch now, as opposed to, was it The Mummy 3, or there was like a
No, it's the
offshoot of The
Mummy. It
Mummy?
was, it was the Mummy Returns. It was the sequel he was in. And I'll just say this: I don't know if I've told you this story, but a long time ago, when he just started getting into those films, and we saw the Mummy Returns, we saw how bad he was in that turn, even for the short amount of time. Not part of it was not his fault because that was some of the worst CGI for his character. If
Oh
everybody knows the
yeah.
battle scene, that's some of the worst computer graphics I've ever seen. But he was still very, I guess, I don't want to say nervous, but very tight-lipped as far as the way he was acting. Very rigid, very he was not comfortable in what he was doing and in the environment that he was in. You look back, even the Star Trek Deep Space Nine stuff that he did, the episode that he did there, and some other stuff that he did, right around that time, plus a little bit after. He was not comfortable in what he was doing at that point in time. And I said to people then in the early 2000s, if he ever got as comfortable behind the camera as he does in the ring, because when he would step into the ring after he did a project, it's like for him coming home, and you could tell he would just the Raw character would come out, and you talk the smack and take the smack down to hotel and the whole 9 yards, and the whole candy ass thing and all that. If he ever got that comfortability that he had in the ring, behind the screen, watch out. And then yeah, it just a couple years later he got some breaks, got in some. I know that there was all these vehicles that he was starring in. Some of them were doing okay, some of them were not. Then all of a sudden he started to hit big, and there went from there. So yeah, it's definitely something that as soon as he got comfortable behind the screen, behind the camera, I think it was just like it was a natural. It was an ability. And I say the same thing for John Cena too. And now you see the point where John Cena is now very comfortable behind the camera. And they're very
Yeah.
comfortable, filming on the set. And you can see he's achieved that level. When he's still playing like offshoot of Vin Diesel's brother, or when he's playing those roles where he's a bad guy, those are still tough for him because he just comes off very you know, not very menacing. He just comes off very angry, and
Mm.
maybe angry that maybe he's not getting paid enough. I don't know, but a role like the Peacemaker, I think, was best suited for him. It was really a good fit.
Yeah, yeah. You can sort of track his trajectory. It's almost like he's followed in The Rock's footsteps. You go back to, was it the Marine 2 or the Marine 3, or whatever that first John Cena film was. That was actually because we don't get
The
WWE
WWE
on
films,
on TV over here.
yeah, the
Um,
WWE produced films like that and helped
mm,
him. Yeah, and then they had what the Miz do one, and yeah, all these other WWE stars right around the last decade they were doing. Okay, yeah, put him in a movie, put him in his own movie. There you go. And yeah, I remember. Yeah, he was starting out that way in some of the WWE produced movies, and they weren't really going over so well. But like you said, it was just just eventually evolved into the guy that's it seems like that the future is just so bright for him. It's just so nonstop.
the first film that I saw that I went, oh, this guy's actually like I can stand watching this guy, was Bumblebee, and then I
There you
saw him
go.
again.
Yes.
And then I saw him again in the Suicide Squad, and I went, "Oh, okay, all right. Now I like John Cena." And so yeah, I'm super looking forward to Peacemaker. We don't have HBO Max here in Australia, but I'm just lucky that that particular show, HBO Max, has struck a deal with a service we have here called Binge, and so it's going to be out on that same day, January 13, on Binge.
Ooh, looking forward to it then. I think Ferdinand. If everybody remembers the animated feature Ferdinand with him as the bull, I think that's probably one of the where his personality really started to shine through. And you're right, Bumblebee he got critical praise for because that's probably of the whole line of Transformer movies which are not beloved by critics. I think that's
No.
probably fancy. That one's the only one that's really liked by critics, but that's also the one that's probably done the least amount of money. So I don't want to say that, but I mean it's out there. So
Mm.
be that as it may, I mean the correlation between poorly reviewed movies and people going to the movies. I guess maybe you could just throw that right there. But I tell you what, John Cena, I'm looking forward to it in The Peacemaker. Are you looking forward to The Peacemaker coming up this week on HBO Max? And we'll actually have a breakdown of the episodes as well on the PC Multiverse. So please let us know your thoughts. And Ben Arnault, I'll tell you what, if you want to go ahead, man, you let me know your thoughts on Peacemaker. I'll share them along. If you want to come back on the air, if you want to go ahead and just send them along, do whatever you need to do, my friend, because I want to hear your thoughts on Peacemaker. So just let me know, man. Sound good?
Sounds great, mate. Sounds great.
All right. And if you want to let us know about Peacemaker, share us your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. There's so much more to talk about on today's program. Pixar's Turning Red. That was a theatrical release that was coming up in the not too distant future. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. The decision was made this week by Disney, which is not the first time that this has happened to a Pixar movie, that it is no longer a theatrical release. It is now going to be a Disney Plus release on March 11th. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, we understand the parameters in regards to the coronavirus, maybe taking a movie that's a midline movie, a movie that may not have the highest of prospects, but still a movie that could have made some money at the box office. But there's a level of uncertainty, I think, with all these executives, so that they're, you know what, we're not sure what this movie's going to do out in the theaters, so we don't want it to tank and have that image and have that stigma attached to it. So maybe throwing it out there on Disney Plus is the best route for it. But this has been several movies now for their animation studios, both the Disney and Pixar movies that they've done in a row, that they've moved from theatrical to Disney Plus. The only movie that they put out on the actual theaters, which is now on Disney Plus, is Encanto. So I want to hear your thoughts on this, especially with Pixar movies that they moved over, like Soul, like Luca. I'm wondering if this is not going to be something going on in the future for Pixar, that they're now going to become a Disney Plus pipeline as opposed to a pipeline for their movies maybe going to the theater. Is this something that this might be a permanent change for Pixar?
Look, I think it quite possibly could be. I mean, they've done it already with Soul and Luca, and Luca was a fun little movie to sit and watch with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to be honest, I mean, it could be the right play, because I mean, a lot of parents, there's not many sort of grown ups that are going to be going, "Oh, let's go watch this movie." But there would be a lot of kids, and so for parents, having it come out directly onto Disney Plus would be quite attractive, because then the parents can just put it on for them at home, and the parents don't have to take them to the cinema and sit through the movie. They can, the parents can do something they want to do while the kids are watching the movie.
Of course.
Um, so I can see some of the appeal to that there. Um, and you mentioned before all the business about the pandemic, and people not wanting to go to cinemas and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's one of the reasons why at the top of the show I was talking about going to the drive-in tonight, because my wife's not comfortable going to the cinema at the moment. Um, so look, I think it would be a shame, because I'm a cinema buff. I love the cinema. I love going to the movies. I love the experience of sitting in the theater. Um, but I can also see that industries change, and I think that this could be the way of the future for things like Pixar. I just hope that that doesn't spread throughout the rest of the industry, because I mean, there are some movies that you just are going to have to go and watch at the cinema. Like Top Gun 2 is going to be a cinema only job. I mean, I've got a nice big widescreen curved TV here in the house, but that's not going to do Top Gun 2 justice. So
I said the same thing with Dune. I saw Dune at HBO Max first, and then I said to myself, "This is, even on a big screen TV like you're saying that I have as well, it doesn't do it justice." So I actually had to go out and see it in IMAX, and I was just floored. I was just absolutely floored,
I
and I
haven't
can
actually seen that one yet, so I'm super excited to get out and see
highly
it.
recommend it. It's not my number one pop culture item of 2021. It's basically superior than anything else. Was seeing it in IMAX was just truly an incredible experience. I cannot speak
Oh,
any higher of it. So
interesting, interesting. I had read some reviews of it that said that this was going to be the next generation's Star Wars. Do you think it's got the legs of the franchise of Star Wars, or?
no, no, it's
Oh, okay.
only a movie that's done about $400 million at the box office, and is still one of HBO Max's top, because it came out day and date, so it did money out in the theaters. Plus, still earned a nice living at HBO Max. But I don't want to put it in the Star Wars realm. Anybody that's going to be putting it in the Star Wars realm now, I will wait until Book Two comes out, Part Two, that comes out in 2 years, because it did get a green light. If that does gangbusters, then we can talk. But right now, I don't want to. Nobody should be throwing around those Star Wars labels around anything right now, especially outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because right now we see what Spider-Man: No Way Home, that is earning Star Wars like money that even Star Wars can't even earn anymore. So out of the theaters, so that's something right there. But I wanted to say that in regards to what we were talking about with Turning Red, which I think is going to be a really good movie for Pixar. I'm looking forward to seeing it on Disney Plus. I'm kind of disappointed it's not going to be out in the theaters because there's other animated features that are thriving, like Sing 2. That's gone. That's earned over $150 million worldwide. It's actually done a nice job as the number two movie for weeks now, behind No Way Home. So there is still an audience that can go and does go to the theaters for animated movies. I just see that Hollywood, especially Disney right now, doesn't have enough confidence, which I'm kind of finding kind of surprising because of the fact that Encanto did so well for them out in the theaters.
Yeah, I must say that I haven't seen those particular movies that you're talking about, so I can't sort of comment as to how good they are or not. But
Encanto was pretty good. Encanto was pretty good, and I do recommend that if people out there are watching Disney Plus, because it is now available on Disney Plus.
oh, okay. Well, I've got Disney Plus. I'll have to go check that out. I tend to use Disney Plus more just for the Star Wars
The
and the
Marvel,
MCU TV
yeah,
shows.
there you go. They've
Oh,
got actually got the good
and
stuff.
Die Hard, of course.
Yes, so, well, there you go. But I also have the Get Back for the Beatles. So if you're a fan of the Beatles, I do recommend the Get Back
My father is a
documentary.
huge fan of the Beatles, and he just spent 2 weeks here with us, and it was absolutely wonderful. And we were sitting there, and I thought, okay, my dad loves the Beatles. I'm going to put on Get Back, and we're going to watch this together, and it's going to be this great experience for us all. And within about 20 minutes, he pulled his phone out, and he was on his phone like a teenager. I said, at about 45 minutes, I said, Dad, is this not really interesting to you? And he said, No, I don't really like all the behind the scenes stuff. And as a former sort of semi-professional musician. I was like, "Are you kidding me?
This is
Like
fascinating. If to me,
this
it was
is
like a history lesson.
yeah, yeah." And he was just not into it, and I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't understand why he was not into it.
Well, if you ever do get back into it, I highly suggest it because it's a long view. I wish it was broken up a little bit more, but yeah, it was just so fascinating behind the scenes, especially because these were the last days for all of them together as a group. I think that's probably why it's so historic, and I think people that are fans or want to know more should go out of the way to see it. But that's just my thing. But getting back to what we were talking about, the only thing with me that when it comes to Pixar, I'm going to say that if Lightyear, which is also coming out this year with Chris Evans in the lead role, the I guess predecessor to the idea and the concept of Buzz Lightyear for the Toy Story series, that is a still at this point in time scheduled to be a theatrical release this summer. If that changes to a Disney Plus exclusive, that tells me right there that Pixar going forward may be a predominantly Disney Plus pipeline, which is great for Disney Plus users and Disney Plus subscribers, but I'm not sure it's the best thing for Pixar because Pixar was brought up to be the quintessential animation studio in the world. They worked for that reputation. I actually know someone that works or that has worked at Pixar, and he has worked diligently to earn, along with the rest of the crew there, their place in the animation universe. And I don't think it demeans them or takes a step down per se by going to Disney Plus, but it's always nice when you can have those $1 billion movies that they've had, like the Toy Story series, the Incredible movies, and things of that nature that have earned billions of dollars at the movie theaters. It's always nice to have that come along with it. And if Lightyear does go straight to Disney Plus, because I think of any recent movie that has hit potential from Pixar, I think that's the one. I think that if that goes to Disney Plus, I think that tells me a lot.
Yeah, I think that definitely gives a bit of an indication of where the industry's heading.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's just very concerning, my friend. But we'll see what happens. If again, the benefit goes to the Disney Plus subscribers like me and you, that these Pixar movies are coming straight there because they're usually of high quality, great animation, and you really can't argue with that. So I'm just, like I said, it's always nice to see a success for me from a personal standpoint because I have someone that I know that works there and just has really worked so hard over the years to be a great part of it, and to see their work, not getting the kind of mass popularity that a box office hit can bring. I think that sometimes is a little disappointing, but again, goes on Disney Plus and seen by 50, 100 million people. That ain't too bad.
That's not bad at all.
What are your thoughts out there on Turning Red going straight to Disney Plus? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before I hit the break, my friend, one last thing I wanted to hit you up with, and that is Amazon Prime with Fallout. The announcement that a Fallout series is coming to Amazon Prime with Jonathan Nolan, not Christopher Nolan. I often get those two mixed up. Christopher Nolan, the eccentric and outstanding director who has done Tenet and so many other different movies of the past decade, Inception and Interstellar, and you could just list all these big blockbuster movies that he's done. Well, his brother Jonathan Nolan is going to be the guy behind this, and he's done quite a bit of work himself in the industry, and he's going to be heading up this Fallout series. So, what are your thoughts on Fallout? I know that I've been hoping for a Mass Effect series because there's rumors that it's also going to be heading to Amazon Prime, which I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it will. But Fallout's, is something with the apocalyptic type scenario that a lot of people have been interested in. The game series up until Fallout 76 has been very lauded. We won't talk about Fallout 76 too much, but I think you know the story from there. Your thoughts on Fallout heading to Amazon Prime?
Yeah, look, I came to the Fallout scene a bit late. What was the game before 76? Was it Fallout 4 or Fallout 3?
Yes.
4,
Fallout
yeah.
4, yeah. And then they
Yeah,
had
so
also Fallout New Vegas, which was made by Obsidian, which now Obsidian and Bethesda are now both owned by Microsoft. So imagine that. Small
yeah,
world.
yeah. So look, I've really only played Fallout 4, but I really played Fallout 4. I think I must have played it through 3 or 4 times, like all the way through, and hunting out all the different side quests and building up different suits each time and all that sort of stuff. But look, I love post-apocalyptic shows. I know that a lot of people are now off The Walking Dead. I still watch everything, just because I love that style of show. But yeah, Fear the Walking Dead with their post-nuclear
See, I
bomb
was
world.
gonna
Now
say
it's
that. I was gonna say that.
yeah, this latest season of Fear the Walking Dead is
And this is the last season for The Walking Dead, and it's going to return in a spin-off, which actually will probably resemble much of The Walking Dead because it will have characters from The Walking Dead. So is it truly a last season of The Walking Dead? That's all I'll say.
yeah, it's a pseudo reinvention or a reinvigoration of the franchise, probably. I dare say. But
Yes.
yeah, no, anything post-apocalyptic, I'll give it a watch. If you my wife jokingly says that my Netflix account is too dark to look at, and when she's feeling really low, she'll get into my Netflix account. She'll go find something something of mine to watch. But no, I've been thinking about this Fallout show. There was a TV show. I can't remember the name of it now. I think it finished about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was basically the end of the world was brought about by everything electronic crashing and dying. And I think it had oh, the main character had like a little necklace, and she'd open the necklace, and then that'd bring back power for like a period of time or something. Anyway, I anyway I
It's
can't
gonna
remember it
hit
now.
you. It's gonna hit you, I bet.
Oh, I'll remember it like as soon as you end this
You
this
know it.
recording. Yeah,
Always
yeah,
does that. I do that all the time.
yeah. Anyway, I really like that show, but critics hated it, and I think if it can sort of channel that vibe but do it better, then I think that'll be quite interesting. Um, I think that the timeline of the alternate universe of Fallout is going to be really interesting. This sort of this, you know, 1950s esque, but you know how steampunk genre sort of takes the what if technology had followed steam, and then Fallout follows what if technology had followed nuclear. So everything's nuclear powered and all that sort of stuff. So as opposed to our modern technology where everything's all electronic. So I think I think that that's going to be interesting to see that play out. I love the 1950s as a time period. You know, that's when designers knew how to actually design interesting cars and all that sort of stuff. So I think we're going to see a lot of different sort of unique period piece designs, which are going to be quite fascinating to watch. And I mean, you know, if it's going to be done with Jonathan Nolan, I mean, you know, he's part of the Westworld team and person of interest. So you know, he knows his TV, and I think that that can only mean good things for it. Um, as for actors and actresses, I don't know if anything's been announced on that yet, but you know, there's a whole host of sort of up and coming um, young actors and actresses that could really make a great impact if partnered with some sort of more long-standing TV personalities. And I'm saying this, and I'm thinking of the Lost in Space series on Netflix. You know, you've got those young kids, Will and the red-haired daughter and the dark-haired daughter, and then they're partnered up with the actress who played Dr. Smith, who was Ali
I know what you're talking
Sheen
about. I think
from
so.
Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
She was from the Breakfast Club, you know. So you got these like some of these real, you know, venerable, highly experienced, highly developed character actors, sort of introducing the next generation of younger actors. So if they could get that dynamic in there as well, I think that would be really cool too.
absolutely. I think that will be a great thing if they can. I mean, it's something I'm very interested to see. They've spent a great deal of money on the Wheel of Time, and that's been a big success for them as far as Amazon Prime is concerned. The Expanse is finishing up its run on the Amazon Prime, so they've already dealt into sci-fi a little bit. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to Fallout. I'm looking more as well to a Mass Effect series if that does get hopefully
Ooh,
solidified. I mean,
how
I've heard
cool
the
would that be?
I mean, these are rumors that have been reported by excuse me, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline. So I don't usually like to throw out rumors out there until they're solidified by big heavyweight IGN type deals. So they confirmed that Mass Effect may be coming to Amazon Prime, but definitely Fallout is a definite for Amazon Prime. So that's great to see. I'm looking forward to my friend. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of great vibes we can see from the Fallout series when it heads to Amazon Prime. So, want to hear your thoughts out there? Is Fallout on Amazon Prime going to be something for you? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Well, coming up after the break, we've got Dawn Fobbs going to be sharing her thoughts on the great Sidney Poitier, who passed away this week at 94. And then Ben Arnault and I are coming back. We're going to be talking about The Boys and what's hot at Smoking Hot Confessions. We're going to go ahead and find out what that is coming up after the break. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're about to close out the show. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. I want to thank Dawn Fobbs for spending some time with us, sharing her thoughts on the late, great Sidney Poitier, one of the true stalwarts in the entertainment industry ever to come across. I shared my thoughts as well, and I'm just truly saddened by his passing, but his brilliance will never be forgotten. And the fact that we have his performances, both in a directorial and an acting standpoint, on both a television and film medium forever is going to be a great thing to be. So I cannot thank Don for stopping. Can't thank Don enough for stopping by. Ben, any thoughts on the great Sidney Poitier before we head on out?
Look, he was a like a pioneer. He was a trailblazer. You know, I mean, you see actors like uh, oh God, I'm so bad on my mental blanks today. Black Panther,
Oh, Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman. You see actors like him saying thank you to Denzel Washington for paving the way for him, and then actors like Denzel Washington say, "Well, thank you to Sidney Poitier for paving the way for him." I mean, you know, he was a groundbreaker in the true sense of the word. You know, he really sort of showed what was possible,
Yeah.
and sort of struck out there against the odds, and sort of took took his personality and brought himself to the screen and showed it to the world in a way that sort of made it possible for other actors to do the same. It's a real shame that we've lost him. Although I did hear he made it to 94, which is not quite as far as Betty White, but he 94 is still very good. If I can get 94, I'll be very happy.
I can be very happy with that as well. If I can get anywhere in the 90s, That'd be great, but that's
Yeah.
it's not too far away from me, so I better not say too much about that. But I will say this: that again, thank you so much to her for sharing your thoughts on Sidney Poitier, and our respects to the family indeed in regards to his passing, and also as a great stalwart of the entertainment industry. Truly honored what everything he did for this industry. So cannot thank him enough for everything he did. But before we end it out, my friend, wanted to go ahead and ask you this in regards to The Boys. It finally was announced for The Boys season 3 as a June 3rd release date. Came out with a little bit of a trailer. It was more of a one of their 7-on-7 news articles with a mostly just dropping hints on what you could be seeing for season 3, and then it closed out with Homelander right there with Starlight and Homelander for a photo op looking very menacing indeed. I mean, your thoughts on The Boys? I would have made a well, I should say here in America, I will say that the viewing audience for broadcast television is going up here in the next couple of weeks because American football is going into their playoffs, and that is a huge audience. Plus, also the college football playoffs. It's the finale is going to be on this Monday. I would have put it actually the announcement on one of those platforms to make sure everybody knows about it. But your thoughts on The Boys? It's coming out in June, so there's still plenty of time to spread the word. But I'm looking forward to it because to me, it's one of the best shows on TV.
Oh, without a doubt it is. It's definitely not kid friendly. My son has never even heard of it, thank God. And none of the kids at school seem to be talking about it though. They all seem to be talking about Squid Game, which is a bit concerning. You
Oh
know,
yeah, Squid Game. I'm wearing the shirt right now.
oh,
Yes,
you
that
are too. I hadn't even noticed.
yeah, that's something I don't think I want my. Well, actually, I've got a 14 and a 16-year-old in the house. I guess they can watch it, if they were interested, and they've certainly heard of it. But the violence, like you said, is really something that maybe parents should actually have to think about, before they let
Yeah,
their
yeah,
kids.
and absolutely, definitely with the boys.
Yes.
But it's so good, that show. I mean, all the characters are so complex. They're all, they're just so deliciously messed up, each and every single one of them. I mean, Homelander's got to be one of the most well created characters that I've seen on TV in such a long time, because you just hate him so much through and through, but you can also see how and why he is the way he is. So you're almost sympathetic towards him, but then he just does something else, and you're like, oh, okay, no, no,
Yeah.
forget that guy. No,
Yeah.
we need to see him blown up or torn apart or something. But like, none of the characters are particularly likable. Like, none of them are nice people. None of them are the stereotypical good guys. Um, but they're just it's just so fascinating to watch. And the butcher is just he's another one. I don't think his character is quite as engaging as Homelander, but he's up there. He's really really close. And yeah, it's just fascinating to see all the different things that they do there. I love what they did last season by sort of, tying in an alternate version of our actual history by saying that, the Nazis were developing the super soldiers before we were, and that's how the main villain from season 2 came about. And you know, it just and I love that they have some really strong and fascinating female characters in there as well,
Yeah.
which is really good because in a lot of these superhero movies, the female characters tend to get left behind,
Yeah.
or they've obviously spent more time writing for the men than they have spent writing for the women, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. And there was that fantastic fight scene in season 2 where the three good girls fought the bad girl, and it was just that was one of the best scenes ever filmed for television, in my opinion. It was just absolutely fantastic.
Really
So
good.
I don't know too much about what's coming up in season 3, except that Jansen Ackles is coming on board as a precursor character to Homelander.
Very
Um,
blatant ripoff of Captain America, and it's actually
oh yeah,
supposed to be loosely translated into a Captain America type deal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's they kind of do that a bit, I mean, Homelander is very blatantly he's a
Yep.
Superman gone wrong.
Yep.
So it's kind of fun that they can poke fun at
And
all
they're
those
from your
mainstream
neck of the
characters.
woods too. They're from your general area. You got Carl Urban from New Zealand. You've got Anthony Starr from New Zealand. They both do such a terrific job. Like you said, Carl Urban, his character, is pretty straightforward, has a great arc as far as is concerned, but he is, Anthony Starr takes the cake. The reason why The Boys works is him. His character, everything centers around him. And like you said, but like Superman, like it would because he is the Superman of that series, but just so good in that role.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't actually realize that he was from New Zealand.
Yep. Actually,
There you
both him
go.
and Carl were. Yeah, you hear him talk on, in those, off the scenes, the behind the scenes stuff, or when he's just talking about a trailer or things coming up. Yeah, does it in his regular New Zealand voice, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah, right.
but yeah, it's just good to see. I mean, the show is just so good. The show, like, evidently, just to me, this it's still one of the best on television. I truly have a great time seeing it. It again is all, right there, next to my list on The Boys, the best of pop culture. So it's right there as well, along with so many other great things. But yes, nobody can forget about The Boys because it's just so good. Yeah, it's absolutely just so good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that again in June, and I just can't wait. Really looking forward to it.
As am I, my friend. As am I. But if you are looking for The Boys, it's coming out in June. Were you excited for the trailer and everything that went on? The little teaser that was said, and are you excited to see more footage coming for The Boys? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, before we head on out, it is Smoking Hot Confessions. It is the place to go for everything barbecue and good food and good looking food. Good looking food. The community there is really tight. I see things dropped on the community page on Facebook as like seemingly 3 or 4 times a day, as far as beautiful dishes that be sent from you from all over the world on it. Just tell me exactly what has been so great about SHC recently, and what is the most popular thing right now that people are talking about?
Yeah, well, we've just had sort of Christmas and New Year, so we've seen all sorts of different things happening. One of the things that a lot of people from the from the northern hemisphere sort of forget is that in the southern hemisphere, Christmas is hot,
Yeah,
and so we don't do the giant turkeys and the all that sort of stuff. So what is one thing that we often do here is we'll get a leg of ham and we'll baste that, and we'll do that in the barbecue, do all the basting of the ham and all that sort of stuff, and then let it chill and put it in the fridge and chill it down, and we'll have cold cuts for lunch on Christmas Day, sort of thing. And so there's been a lot of that happening in the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community over on Facebook. Lots and lots of different different recipes are popping up in there for different glazed hams, and they
I'm
just
just
look
scrolling through it
absolutely
now.
fantastic.
I'm just scrolling through it now, my friend. It is just, my gosh, my mouth is watering. It's just wrong. This is just wrong. This is terrible, man. This should be, talk about banning stuff on social media. This might have to be banned because it just looks so good. I'm just scrolling through each page on the Smoking Hot Confessions community. There is just, it just so good, so good. Oh, terrible,
Yeah,
man. To someone who's trying to lose weight, this is just terrible. This is just absolutely terrible.
yeah. If you're trying to lose weight, it might not be the group for you.
But if you are looking for great dishes, great ideas, and absolutely great looking food, there is no better place to go. I'm just telling you right now, because I've been checking it out over the past few months, like you said, and just the ideas, the active community, what you've created and what you've helped grow is just truly tremendous. From the our first conversation to now, it's just to see the kind of interactivity and the ideas and the beautiful looking food and ideas and conversations from all around the world. It's just tremendous, my friend. You got to be really happy with that.
I am, yeah. Look, I often say it's one of the friendliest groups on the internet. We sort of don't tolerate any guff. We don't put up with any riffraff, and the result is just a really nurturing, encouraging community where people who've just bought their first barbecue. We love to hear from them. We love posts where people say, "Hey, I'm a complete newbie. This is what I've got. What should I do?" And there are other groups out there where they'll jump on people like that and oh, you bought the wrong type of barbecue. What are you doing? But yeah, we don't sort of put up or tolerate any of that in the group, and so it's really welcoming. It's really engaging, as you say. Any post that I put, I always start it with "Hi family." because that's the kind of the environment, the feel that we want in that group. Everybody's welcome. We don't care where you come from. We don't care what you cook on, just as long as you are, relaxed and happy and positive and encouraging to everyone else in the group as well. So that's what that group's about. That's what we're doing there, and it's been really good. So we share all our podcast episodes in there as well, and I actually do the recordings live in the Facebook group so that people can ask questions during the recording and have them pop up on the screen, so then they can engage with the guests that I bring on the show as well.
My
So
gosh,
there's just all
it's
sorts
just
of
so good.
different ways that we incorporate interaction and engagement in that group.
You just done a sensational job because I'm looking at it right now again. I'm looking at marinated chicken thighs that are Greek inspired that just look absolutely fantastic. That were on a Weber Traveler, that were grilled on a Weber Traveler. You've got right next to it a mango cheesecake, which is just absolutely delectable. Then you've got the different briskets, the different meats that are smoked, grilled, just people putting in their 2 cents as far as in a positive manner, just absolutely delectable. You got broiled chickens. You got, oh my gosh, the list just goes on, and the ideas there are just immense. And you've got the podcasts that you bring out just so often that describe everything going on, the interviews that you go into depth in regards to the world of barbecue. Man, it's just such a great experience. But please share to everyone out there exactly where they can get all this great stuff at, because it is definitely, if you love food, which, as humans, you love food, please, this is the place to go. So please, once again, let everybody know where they can go for SHC, all things Smoking Hot Confessions.
Well, the home of Smoking Hot Confessions is smokinghotconfessions.com. That's where we put all our podcast episodes, all the different product reviews, recipes, how-to articles, hints and tips, all that sort of stuff. The next best place to check us out is over on YouTube. We're Smoking Hot Confessions over on YouTube. We put our recipe videos are exclusively on YouTube. So if you want to find out some different ways of cooking different things, go check out our YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe and hit that little notification bell. We're starting to put a bit more focus on the cooking videos, so we've got a few more of them coming out. They're getting some great engagement at the moment, and we're putting a bit of an Aussie spin on things. So we're doing lamb, we're doing some seafood, all that sort of stuff as well. So check us out there. Facebook, we're Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Community is the group, and Smoking Hot Confessions is the page. Facebook being what it is, the engagement on the Facebook page is a bit low, but they're into groups at the moment. They're promoting groups, so the group is really firing really nicely. So come along, join us over there, Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Community. And we are Smoking Hot Confessions on Instagram and Barbecue Confessions on Twitter.
Oh my gosh, my mouth is just watering right now at these wings made in a cherry jalapeno rib glaze. Ugh, ugh, this is just terrible, man. Every time. Now I gotta go. Now I gotta go run to the store again to buy more food because I'm so inspired after checking out everything at Smoking on Confessions. You did it to me again, again.
Yeah, well, we've just had a bit of a holiday out in the bush. We had almost a week out in the woods, or in the bush, as we say here in Australia. And so we've been doing a whole lot of live fire camping, and I like to use a Dutch oven when I'm there. So I've been taking the lid off it, popping it upside down over the coals, and using that as a grill and doing some ribeye steaks there. I had a sweet potato which I punctured all over with a fork and wrapped in foil and just threw straight onto the coals. I had a whole bunch of sweet baby carrots that I covered in honey and it's a barbecue rub from the United States. Actually, it's Lane's Barbecue. It's called Garlic Plus, and it's garlic and herb spice rub. And I throw that all over the carrots, double wrap them in foil, and throw them directly over the coals as well. And so we had beautiful ribeye steaks with beautiful soft sweet potato, which I think is similar to what you probably call yams, and honey garlic carrots, like just directly over the open fire, which was just so good. Did a whole bunch of different stuff. We had a roast lamb one night. We did was a butterflied leg of lamb. So I put a trivet in the bottom of the Dutch oven, and it's what we call a camp oven here in Australia. Is a Dutch oven. Dutch oven means something else over here, and so I put a trivet in the bottom of the camp oven, dice up a bunch of potatoes and carrots, drizzle them in olive oil, hit them with that same garlic plus rub and sort of give them a bit of a toss. And then the butterfly leg of lamb was pre-marinated because that was the only one that they had at the store at the time. So it was a pre-marinated butterfly leg of lamb, and just sit that over the top, and then shovel out some hot coals from the fire, sit the Dutch oven directly on the coals on the bottom, and then put a shovel full of coals over the top. It was about 45, 50 minutes later, and we had this beautiful roast dinner out in the bush by torchlight. So we've had some really good times out there the last couple of days, but I'm back at home now, and I've got a couple of different businesses have sent me some different things they want me to do reviews of. So we're going to be setting up the outdoor kitchen studio again in the next couple of days, and getting back onto that, and getting production started again after the holidays.
I tell you what, I don't know what's worse, people trolling me or you telling me these great recipes each and every time, because this just puts me through such agony each and every time. But it's so beautiful when you describe it, my friend. Oh, I can just picture it. It's so visual in my mind when you just to hear all these great things that you're talking about. And you can hear more today at smokinghotconfessions.com. He is the man indeed. It is Ben Arnault. Any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
Boba Fett is good.
I think it's okay. I think it's pretty good. Second episode is better. I know a lot of people are just saying it's like a slow burn. For me, it's been a slow burn up until now, but I think it's been very well worth the watch. I know some people have just been like, it's too slow. I think people just have to be patient, and I think good things will follow with the Book of Boba Fett. I really think that's the case.
I think it needed to be a little bit slow because you're basically reintroducing 30 years of backstory.
Yeah.
Because we saw him disappear into the Sarlacc, and then we got this almost cameo in the Mandalorian, and then you got to try and fill in that 30 years of history in between. So yeah, I
I
like it.
think I'm looking forward to it, and I know we'll talk more about it on the PCC Multiverse for Friday. But if Ben or no, you have any more stuff you want to go in and let us know, please. You're back on. You're welcome anytime to go ahead and talk about what's going on with Boba Fett, the MCU, whatever it is. DC. I know we love talking Batman, so we'll be talking the Batman when that movie comes out. So I'm
So
looking
looking
for.
forward to that.
I know you are. I know you are. You said that last year, so I know you are this year, my friend, because it's around the corner. I'm looking forward to talking more great things with you right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So for Ben or no, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great